Yo, what is going on, everybody? Am I clear? Can you hear me? Am I good, Vivi?
Perfect.
See, the countdown helped.
We gotta do it every time now, then.
Yeah, we was like, fuck the countdown at the beginning, but now, my mic needs to get adjusted to the stream when it started, so I'm gonna do the countdown. What is good, everybody? Um, we are back with another movie talk, and today we are talking surviving the game. Kicking off our 3 weeks of Rutger Hauer films, and I am joined by my favorite co-host, Varangian Vigilante. How are you doing, sir?
Yeah, doing actually well. I think maybe a little cold, but otherwise, even though it's like fucking hot here, uh, but otherwise, yeah, well. Except of course, Kevin Sullivan passed away today, one of my favorite wrestlers. So rest in peace, Taskmaster,
The Prince of Darkness.
the Prince of Darkness. Yeah.
Yes.
But today also the topic is quite dark because we are talking about a manhunt, surviving the game. Fun fact: first time I've seen this movie, I don't think they played it a lot here because I know in Germany the movie was on the index, but every good movie was on the index in Germany at that point, and I don't think they ever showed it like on TV in Austria, and for certainly didn't see it in the videotape back in the days. But very happy to saw it because hey, I love Hard Target. I love The Most Dangerous Game, the classic. I even really love The Pest.
The Pest.
The Pest from 1997, which we also have to talk about in the future. Let's talk all the Manhunt movie.
All of them.
And this one is also interesting, surviving the game, because it came out after Hard Target, and both movies are about basically rich people are hunting homeless people, and yeah, it's of course like I don't know what the Hollywood elites did in the 90s. Maybe.
Well, I showed you a clip before we went live of the director Ernest Dickerson. This is his second film as a director. He's been in the game for a long time, and he's known for being Spike Lee's like main cinematographer. And he directed a lot of stuff like behind the scenes of certain films. But he got his start directing with Juice, the Tupac Shakur-led movie.
It's a great movie.
And then his second film is Surviving the Game. Not only he's got Ice-T, but he's got a huge cast of veteran actors. Rutger Hauer. I mean, Gary Busey, Charles S. Dutton, F. Murray Abraham. I mean,
who just had an Oscar winner, I think. It was already the Oscar winner and was in this movie, which is of course amazing. And I think it also speaks of Dickerson, compared like to, I would say, lesser directors like Kevin Smith, who couldn't survive a day with Bruce Willis. Having like a very unexperienced, very fresh director, and he was able to handle like big egos, but also big stars in his second movie.
Yeah, and this is like Ice-T's like third or fourth movie. He's done a few movies before New Jack City, like the small scenes he had in Breaking, Electric Boogaloo, and all that. But yeah, this movie always came on the movie channels and TV in the 90s, and I always watch it whenever it's on.
Sadly not here. But.
That's a shame, because you would consider with Rutger Hauer in it that be a big European actor, that it would be played throughout Europe.
I mean, I think I was once on Austrian television. I think it was like at midnight I watched Blind Fury, but I think it never was again then on TV, which is also a fantastic Rutger Hauer movie.
Once and that's it?
I think at least that was how I felt it. I was just lucky, and it was on. It was like, oh my god, this is a fantastic movie.
But yeah, Rutger Hauer is so great, and even the movies that they say are bad, he never disappoints because he's going to put his best effort in it.
Exactly.
And it's interesting hearing that clip with Ernest Dickerson talking about how he was afraid of meeting him for the first time because of how he all the things that he heard about Rucker, and then when he met him, they just hit it off for 4.5 hours of straight talking, and it when you work with somebody like Rucker and y'all have certain interests, you're going to develop a bond over what interests you have, and it's always great for a director who's still young in terms of directing to meet with somebody and get to know their interests and get to know their hobbies, so they can really formulate an opinion on how they can use them in the movie coming forward.
Yeah, I also think that Rutger Hauer was one of these actors that really respected you as a director when you had like a vision.
Yes.
Yes, and when you can totally tell it like in this movie that also Rutger Hauer like with the hunting scene where he's like the leader of the pack. He wants like his own vehicle, and he got a vehicle, so that he can also. I think that's always the sign of a good director that knows how to make the actors' inputs valuable for his movie, but don't leave them like a blank check so they can do what they want.
Yeah, and again, another part of Dickinson, that video, I'm gonna watch the rest of it because it's an hour-long video, but it just seems like it flows by real good. But the whole Gary Busey and the monologue that Gary delivers in the film, and how Dickinson tells him like what was written, he relays that to Gary, and then Gary just loses it. He's like, that's so good. He's thinking about it in the middle of the night about how good that monologue is, that he interprets it in a different way and adds it into the film. And the fact that Ice-T even said this, that it was shot in one take, no do-overs, that shows you how great of an actor Gary is to just nail it in one take without having to do it all.
Yeah, I actually thought that maybe Gary Busey didn't know it was a movie. He was just thinking he was manhunting with his Hollywood buddies like every other weekend.
It's funny because Ice-T also said that when he took the role, they didn't want to cast him at first because the writer of the film felt like, well, I don't want this to be a racial movie, white guys hunting one black man down.
So we have to add like one black guy for the hunt.
Ice-T was like, it was like the reverse racism. They didn't want to seem like they were racist.
Yeah.
So it's funny how this movie came together, and even Ice joked about Gary Busey, like, oh, I thought we were hunting you for real. But man, this movie.
I mean, like, if I would be Ice-T, that would be in there, and I would see the people, and it's like the first time I would see F. Murray Abrams, like, that guy killed Mozart. Like,
yeah. like the cast is just awesome. I mean, you can't even forget about John C. McGinley.
Yeah,
like, damn,
exactly. He's fucking intense.
Intense
until he isn't.
But yeah, this movie, like, to me, I always like go back and forth on which I enjoy the most, this or Hard Target. I think Hard Target is like the John Woo specialty.
Yeah, and Hard Target is I think Hard Target has the better soundtrack naturally, and I think that Hard Target is more colorful, has like a richer story, and I think that Surviving the Game feels more real and more grittier, and it also shows really that that there were no sets, etc., that everything was shot on location.
I agree with you there. Like, Hard Target, as much as I love that film, it's like an over-the-top John Woo action flick with Jean-Claude Van Damme, Lance Ferguson, and Arnold Veloso, and they're just eating up the scenery every time they get. Whereas this film, it has such a realness and rawness to it that
Yeah,
it's like a gritty ground level version of the Most Dangerous Game. And to
exactly.
me, it's hard to differentiate how both movies
Mm.
has that story element, but they're both different in many ways. But they're both entertaining.
Yeah, and also I think that that Surrounding Game really just focuses on the very small cast and like the manhunt. Well, of course, with Hard Target, you have like love interest in there, etc. So and characters are introduced late in the movie that joined the hunt. With Sven Ole Thorsen, for example. Well,
Yeah,
here you of course you have like your starting like once the preparation for the manhunt starts with the unknowing victim, but because he just thought he would be a tracker for like an animal hunt. There's
and even he's thought like, what you need me for? You know, like I'm that's not my expertise.
yeah, it's you know what. Probably the only unrealistic thing about it is that Mason was a little bit too trusting,
Yeah,
which was somebody from the streets would probably never be because let's face it, if there are people from the so-called elite and they are like they act a little bit too sophisticated and a little bit too kind to be believable. They're either manhunters, cannibals, or taking trips to Epstein's Island. Like, it's like, never trust a rich guy that acts like he's good. Like, never.
but you see, here's the thing. This is why they had to have a black person on the side of them to reel him in. And Charles S. Dutton played that perfectly because he was working at the homeless shelter, aka that's how he get his victims.
The recruiting center.
So he buttered him up in terms of how to come join us. It's a job, you'll get money and stuff like that. So he's like, well, what else do I got to lose? I'm homeless. My best friend, old man, died. And he gave him a little tidbit that pays off at the end.
Yeah.
But but you have this person of color giving him another chance at life, and then when he met all those wealthy rich men, he's like, I don't fit in, but this brother gave me the recommendation, so I'll go ahead and join.
I mean, when you look at the fucking business card, you already see like the devil.
Yeah. And the code words, like you could just see at the whole dinner table that they were just finally setting him up with him not realizing the way they use their words and stuff like, oh, you don't want to drink too much. We don't want you to be slow tomorrow.
It's like when you're like if there would be cannibals, like I can't wait for having you for dinner.
And then the whole pig. They slaughtered the pig that they bring here, and then Doc, played by Gary Busey, like when you're eating the flesh of the pig, listen to his little beady eyes. That way, they'll be devouring your soul.
So,
I was like, that's what they're gonna do to you, bro.
But that scene was really good, and also like you said before, that the whole pre-story, when we got a little bit, in his unfortunate life. I think they did a very great job of like setting him up as a character and also for a figure for the audience to root for, because I think every human that has a little bit of humanity still left in them, like roots for the guy on the streets that really had like a stroke of misery to be there.
Yeah, because when you look at the character of Mason, like he's down, homeless. And his friend Hank is trying to galvanize and build him back up, even though he's homeless as well. But he felt like Mason is still young enough to recover and get over his trauma and reclaim his life. Yeah. So this movie really shows the plight of homeless people in my from that beginning and what they go through. You know, where surviving the game, not surviving. Hard Target
Yeah.
shows this, but you don't see it from the point of view of the home.
I do have to say, like, with the pre-story, like, Bob Miner's security guard would have very well fit into the hunting group. Like, not today, I'm gonna kill me somebody.
Hey, that guy is a henchman among henchmen. He should have been part of the squad too.
Yeah, like, he was a security man. Like, he was waiting for a moment, like.
But yeah, the whole build up was pretty good, but the movie really starts to take form when everybody comes together at that dinner.
Yeah, and it's just I think 1 hour and 10 minutes long, the movie.
Yeah, it's not that long of a film, and it takes for like a good while for it to really get to that.
I know, but also on the other hand, like, it's very much understandable, because when you just focus on the manhunt itself, you get a lot of repeating actions, like if the movie would be too long. So you really just want to focus. And like, the one criticism they had with the movie, which was funny, because Slater looked on IMDb and the screenwriter said he would have changed something. Like, exactly, that was my criticism, where I would have thought it would be better if F. Murray Abrams' character would have died first and Busey's character would have been long in the movie.
See, and that's the whole thing with Hawkins' death early. Like, it kind of messes with the flow, because he's had such a powerful monologue that you don't expect him to be the first to die.
Yeah, and, like Samuel L. Jackson, Deep Blue Sea,
or Steven Seagal in Executive Decision. And like, what the fuck? And to me, like, killing off Doc Hawkins was like, he was their wild card. He was the unpredictable, crazy guy that you thought that, he's gonna be like the semi boss.
Exactly. Like, so we've taken him out first. It took a lot of wouldn't say gravitas of the movie, but color. Like, the movie lost like an attraction.
Yeah, and look, it's hard to pick and choose who dies first when you got a cast like that. I mean, the weakest link was the son, F. Murray Abraham's son in the film. And it's like, every time he says something, like, Dad. I'm like, yeah, kill this guy.
I think there was also a miss on the script, that I think they should have shown maybe him trying to sabotage the hunt or something, to put a little bit more meat on the bone there.
To me, because while he was annoying in some parts, you sympathize for him because he wasn't a part of that, and he didn't want to be a part of that. Like you, if you were there in that situation and they try and force this onto you, it would be like, what the fuck? This is human life.
Yeah. So I think, like, that plot point sort of literally fell off. So they didn't explore that one, except for a father trying to avenge, like, a dead son later. But I think this could have been a plot point where there could have been a little bit more meat on the bone. But otherwise, it's a manhunt movie. It's a manhunt, and
they didn't want to get too story heavy.
Yeah, you can do. Yeah, they tried to get a little bit too story heavy with McGinley's character,
and I felt like that it worked, but at the same time, the way his character went out, it felt rushed. Like, he had such a huge change to his heart, to the point where he was like, "Well, I don't want to do this no more." And it's like, man, it's too late, bro. You already knee deep in the game.
Yeah, I still think that there was the Burns character and Wolf Senior's character were alone too fast in the movie. I also think that, especially like with Cole's character, I think somebody, maybe Wolf should have died like that way, because I think with Cole's character, being the one that got Mason into this mess, that he would have died like a more personal death, like by the hands of Mason, for example.
I will say that
the scene was fantastic. Like the makeup was amazing in that scene. Like it really felt, like burnt flesh, etc.
Bro, that shit messed me up when I first watched this in the 90s. I'm like, damn, got his legs blown off.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. And to me, personally, he deserved it. Because he's the one that dragged Mason in there. So that was personal for Mason.
Yeah, but I would say I would have like more like a personal death. Mason like choking him and being able to look into his eyes, to get his soul. I think that would have been a better death for Cole. But of course, the scene also you can tell there was like this brotherhood between Mason and Cole.
Yeah.
When
you mean Burns and Cole?
Burns and Cole. You can totally tell there was like a friendship between them.
He took it to heart. Like not only he had to finish him off, but just seeing him just standing there reflecting on it, it's like
honoring him on his last way. So that was a good scene. But like I said, I think that that would have been better if they would have had a fight in that sense.
Yeah, because they gave it to F. Murray Abraham, and it was basically like vengeance for his son. Who, let's be honest, the son had the worst. I mean, it was the worst death out of all of them. Like everybody, I thought their deaths were pretty good, but the son just went out like a chump. I'm sorry,
he died like a bitch.
He went out like a chump. I was like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
But back to Doc Hawkins. I like how the movie shows. What up, Kenneth? I like how the movie shows how quick-minded Mason is. Like, he runs away from them when they wake him up and say, "Now you're the hunted," and then he realized, like, you know what, man? Let me just go back. While they chasing me, let me go back to the cabin and try and find. And the movie shows that when he first got to the cabin, there was a locked room. And in his mind, thinking maybe that locked room has all the guns and stuff which they have. So when he get back to the cabin and he busts the lock, he gets the biggest revelation of all the fucking human heads that they hunted and killed in the jar, and they have an empty jar with his name on it, and it's like, God damn.
I still prefer the version like in the past, with like on the wall.
Yeah, like that. Damn, that was crazy. That they have human heads in the jar.
Yeah,
it just shows that people can be sick as hell.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure there's a room like this somewhere, like sadly.
It probably is. I would, especially some rich socialite,
Yeah.
They can afford
it. Yeah.
But then Hawkins, like Gary Busey plays it so well because it's damn near Gary Busey. Like he's not even playing character actor. It's Gary Busey being Gary Busey.
And we know, we always find out this little information about his life. Like he likes his meat rare. Like
well, Mason likes it well done. But Hawkins, he delivers that monologue, and then the house scene later on when Mason goes back to the house, they get into a big fight. And you got to admit, when he busts out that back door with the knife, that was one of my favorite shots because that's crazy Busey in a nutshell.
Yeah.
And then they get to this awesome fight while the others are trying to put the fire out inside the house, or not put the fire out, but they're trying to save F. Murray Abraham because he got stuck in there.
Basically, I think only his son really tried to save him. The others,
yeah, everybody else is like, nah.
Yeah.
But then we get like fucking Hawkins. You know, he said, "I like my meat medium rare." He gets thrown back into the burning house, and then he blows up. I'm like, what?
Too soon.
Too soon. I was like, especially when it's Gary Busey, and like I said, he was the wild card, and he was the he was the like you said, he was the colorful character of the group.
Yeah.
They could have at least had him go further on, but I always felt it goes back to that monologue. And Rutger Hauer, they said in his book, I tried to find some stuff about the book that he wasn't too happy with that monologue because it put all the cool bad guyness on his character and took some shine away from him. And it's like, is that the reason why they had to kill off Hawkins so early? Because
it happens. You know, Steven Seagal is known for doing such things. Like Sven-Ole Thorsen said once that he had like his fight with Steven Seagal, and then they had like a little alteration afterwards. And the next day, Sven-Ole Thorsen came back for shooting for the next scene. They're like, "No, you died yesterday."
But there's a big difference between Steven Seagal and Thorsen and Gary Busey and Rutger Hauer.
Yeah.
Like, it's a big gap difference between the actors and
so, but I'm also sure that probably, you know, when Rutger Hauer saw like, it's like, I'm the main bad guy here. Like, I am the show stealer.
And Gary just stole his spotlight. You know, and I always felt that the monologue scene was one of the best monologues ever. Like, when you think of film monologues, you think of words that sticks with you.
Yes,
you know,
and this is one where you just listen.
Yeah, and when you just hear how Gary describes it, you know, or how Doc Hawkins describes it, you feel like this really happened. Like, considering how Gary is like, some people was thinking this must have happened during his childhood when he was 13.
Yeah.
But it's just the way he delivered it and the way he said now. You know, like when his father was telling him now, it's such gravitas to it and such impact that you like, man, you just can't help but also feel a bit sympathetic for his character because he was forced into this by his dad.
Yeah.
You know, and you think of the harsh childhoods that some people go through because their dad trying to say, now it's time for you to become a man at a young teenage age.
Yeah, still is not a reason to hunt people, but
there's no reason to, but you know. But you know, the monologue delivered so well that they like, we gotta take you out because Rutger Hauer is not happy.
I just had the It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia episode of the Manhunt.
I think it's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. We have references to like everything. So.
Everything, yeah. It goes with everything. They're also there. They're also basically referencing everything.
But yeah, Doc Hawkins' early exit, like, I will say it did throw the movie for a loop because it did not expect it, considering it's a big star like Gary. And
it hurts the movie. It hurt the movie, not in a way, of course, that the movie is not good because it's a great action movie, but it hinders it from going that one step above.
And like I said, it really makes you think whether or not they wanted Rutger Hauer and Gary Busey to still be going through it. Because if Rutger Hauer's the main bad, he won't want Gary Busey stealing all his shine. Now, let's be honest, Gary Busey's so good as a villain that he can just overtake somebody.
And I think it would have been probably better, the approach, if we see then Rutger Hauer trying to up Gary Busey, because we know that Rutger Hauer was one of the best actors. That would have been interesting. And there's so many great actors, but I think F. Murray Abraham took it a little bit on the backseat.
Yeah, because when you look at it, he's being the father to his son.
Yeah.
Like how trying to teach him how to be a man. This is how you're gonna do it, and it kind of backfired on him with how his son was.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he despised his character even more because of how he treated his own son and stuff. So it's like you couldn't wait for him to die. But I kind of wish it would have happened earlier for him. And maybe the son would have had some motivation to get revenge.
Yeah. And there was no wonder that McGinley was so intense. I mean, he was with Varangian in the fucking jungle.
He was intense from the moment he came into the city.
Yeah.
And I like that they explained why he was so anger at Mason, because he explained that a homeless man killed his daughter.
Yeah.
So that's why he had so much rage towards another homeless man or any homeless man, because they took his daughter's life. So it's like, I need to vent my rage upon any homeless man they bring here. Even though it's a game of hunting people, it's homeless men, so it just adds to his fire.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and I have to repeat myself. Still not an excuse for hunting people. I think there's very little excuses to hunt people for sport.
It's very little, but just imagine if Lance Herkison and Arnold Velasco was part of this squad, and Lance Herkison was so over the top and hard target that I think everybody would struggle if he was in this film, because he had a hard on for killing homeless people.
Yeah. I just want to see Danny DeVito. But it's I think the clip you showed me before, that Dickinson wanted to have like this scene before they hunt. He wanted to be like the legendary scene in Jaws where everybody talks about their cars. So I really think that he nailed it, because I think the whole movie centers around like that scene.
Yeah. To me, like to me, the dinner scene really shows these people's mindset.
Yes. And everything that happens later, these scenes basically we understand why. Like also like the power dynamics within the group and everything, and it is like basically in this situation we're like in the position of Mason, and we're just like observing.
I will say, like, watching the film again, I do feel like for them being hunters, they kind of fell into that trap of how can you fall for this?
Yeah. It's like the hubris. It's the hubris.
Like, I could see the first time.
Yeah.
But the part where that had me like, you really? It was when Mason shoot the tree to create a bridge.
Yeah.
And then they just got there, and they think that he crossed the bridge when they could have still saw him on the other side.
Yeah, in D&D terms, when everybody failed the perception check.
That really, like, okay, you can't fall for that guy.
Yeah, that's one. Yeah, like he could have built like a sign, like this is a trap.
And then for experience, well, I wouldn't even say that, but for people who consider themselves hunters, there's too many traps that they fell into.
Yeah, and also I think the weaponry was not that hunting specific anymore. So, who's hunting with SDG 7-7, like with a steirer, who's hunting with a steirer Aug? It's not a game gun.
Yeah, so like that's probably one of my and another criticism is how the fuck Mason got back to Seattle at the end.
Yes, and it's still like being like in that outfit and everything. Yeah, that was like, you know, when you have like a portal to beam yourself like to a prior destination. Generally, I would have ended the movie like right there. Like not in the city. I would have ended it like also like in Alaska.
Yeah, I would have ended it too. Like it didn't really need to go back to the city.
Yeah.
They just to me showed Burns like trying to escape the responsibility of losing all his friends, and you hear the phone calls like, "Oh, my husband is gone. I'm calling to see what's up," and stuff like that. So he like, and you see him changing his whole persona and stuff like that, putting makeup on and stuff like that to come up with this whole new character to get out of town. Like he's a priest now.
Yeah.
But to be honest, the movie should have ended in the jungle.
Yes.
And to be honest, I really like the jungle setting.
Yes. I mean, of course, always like this adventure and let's face it, you know, everybody loves survival in the forest.
To me, like
in theory.
But it puts you in a setting. It's like, you know, you're completely surrounded by nothing but trees and whatever animals there. And I even like the fact that, you know, when he had Mackenzie's character in the cave, you know, Mackenzie couldn't handle the bugs that was crawling on him, and he's like, Mason was like, "Oh, you can't handle the little bugs and stuff," because Mason's homeless, so he probably deal with bugs all the time. So that's nothing new. But somebody like his character, Mackenzie, is like, I live in my comfortable bed, you know, in my lavish home.
Yeah, should have had a mauling bear scene. Every movie in Alaska should have a mauling bear.
Like the environment could have played a bigger factor. I would say.
Also, like of course, like in the night, like the cold and everything. In general, like also, you know, when when the hunt started, and you saw like Mason running for a few minutes, and I saw him. Then, you know, they had like some sweat on his face, like, and then he raised his arm, and there were like no sweat pits like in his arm, like on his shirt. It's like, hell no. When I walk 5 minutes in summer.
It's the small details that had you like.
It's like yeah.
But you could forgive it, you know, for the movie.
Naturally, yeah. It's just a funny. Still, like it's still an entertaining movie. It truly delivers what it promises.
That's what the whole goal was with Ernest Dickerson. Is like, you know, take the concept of the most dangerous game. Let's focus on the prey and the people that's hunting him, and just put it in the forest setting without the city or without anything, and just make it about them.
Exactly. The only thing I was really wondering is like, how did they get that cast?
And it really fell into his lap, you know, considering that, you know, the movie didn't even have a high budget.
Yeah, like 7.5 million or something.
So for them to have this amazing cast of actors, you would think it will overwhelm a second-time director. But again, he worked with great actors in the cinematography with Spike Lee.
Yeah, it could also been, you know, that some actors really want to work with a young, talented director that has like his own voice. So it could have been that, like, hey, we want to work with Dickerson.
Yeah, you know, and it would have been funny considering that this is Ice-T. If he would have brought Tupac and, you know, he was still young, and say, hey, you know, Tupac, what do you think of this film? And stuff like that, because, you know, some directors like to establish something with an actor. You know, like,
just imagine Tupac in the role of Cole.
Oh man, I don't know.
Since we know like how intense he can be, like it wasn't choose, like
Yeah, they probably would have gave him a different death, like a fight with Ice-T. And again, it's like, yeah, Ice-T I thought was fine in this film, but the other actors was just better. I'll just say that. Like when you got Rutger Hauer, F. Murray Abraham, Gary Busey, Charles S. Dutton, John McKinsley, they're just great actors on their own. And Ice-T was happy to be around. Ice-T said that this is one of his favorite films to do. This and Trespass, because of how the directors just let him be him and gave him lines and said you can improv, and then he's surrounded by all these great actors.
And when you look at, like, especially, since the last time we talked Trespass, when you look at his acting in both movies, when in Trespass he's carrying himself like as businessman, as a king, like a king of like a gang, and it's like, he's standing tall in every scene. While here, he's like, he has like the low self-esteem of a homeless man, and he really needs to find like himself. He needs to find his will to live throughout the movie, and of course, the hunt like sparks it back in him, the survival instinct and everything. I think that he has 2 times really good acting in 2 completely different roles, which shows like his variety, like what his
versatility.
That my German tongue can say it. Versatility. Seine Vielfältigkeit. Yes, as an actor. So Ice-T is a great actor. So nobody can take this away from him.
Yeah, and when you have such a great cast in such a like small location of just focusing on them, it really lets the acting chops come out of you,
Yeah.
And he has some really good lines. Of course, I use the always check the barrel.
Yeah.
And it was a tidbit that Hank, his friend, the homeless man at the beginning, told him when he found the gun. Hank told him, man, just always check the barrel, because your gun could be jammed. And when he did that to Burns, and I never noticed that. I can't believe I watched this movie a lot. How he took the bullet out the gun, threw the bullet on the floor, let Burns see it, then played with the gun before he tossed the gun. So it was like, take the bullet out, then inject whatever debris I have into the gun, and then discard the gun. So when Burns sees the bullet, he's like, oh, I got a bullet. He puts it in without checking. And, so long story short, he didn't check the barrel and ended up backfiring.
And the fun thing is basically, because in the beginning of the game start, if you reach civilization, you're free. Yeah. So basically, at the end, he also gave him like a chance to live. If he wouldn't have shot, then he would have survived.
You would think, giving him a chance to live after everything he put him through, it's like the stupidest thing ever. But he kind of knew in the back of his mind that Burns was going to take that opportunity.
Exactly. He can't
pass it up.
Like an animal, he knew that he has to follow like his instinct, and he did.
And Burns thought he was dead
because his instinct.
He set him up with the plane, and when Mason got too close to the plane, he shot the plane and blew the plane up. So he thought Mason got blown up next to the plane. So he didn't expect that. But of course, the movie logic. 3 days later, and Mason's in the city, like how he found his way back. But we just say whatever. It's movies. Yeah. But like I said, this film always was a watch for me. Like every time it was on, I watched it because I just enjoyed it. I love the setup. I love the monologue by Gary Busey. And while his death was kind of like shocking, and at the same time it takes a bit out of the film, it doesn't take away from the rest of the film.
Exactly. It's still, it delivers. Whole movie delivers.
And each character has their own motives, you know, like the F. Murray Abraham is trying to toughen up his son. Mackenzie is trying to just be rageful towards homeless people because of what happened to his daughter. And Dutton, Cole and Burns, they're best buds. Cole pretty much set up everything for Burns so they could do this hunt. So his death affected Burns. Affected Burns. So there's a little subtle character moments in the film that really like gets to you. But again, it goes back to the whole point of hunting humans. We don't condone it.
Yeah, they don't hunt humans. And don't hunt humans. And only hunt animals if you need something to eat.
But you know, considering that the most dangerous game has been adapted a lot in films, people love this shit.
I know it's.
But again, it's survival 101. Because people gonna hunt you, and whether or not you can survive is. And I think this movie really showed Mason's will to live, like you said earlier. He was about ready to take his own life early in the film. Like after he lost his friend, he was about ready to get hit by a truck, and Cole stepped in to save him. He's like, "Nah, I need to save you because we need to do that to you ourselves."
Yeah, like don't waste anything here.
But it's I love this film. It's and Ernest Dickerson is a really good director. You know?
Absolutely, and I'm really happy that I discovered this movie thanks to you.
Yeah, I mean 2 weeks in a row. You know. Yeah,
like I'm broadening my horizon here, like of movies that I never really stumble upon here.
And it's like I said, it's weird that they rarely showed this film over there because. You know, Rutger Hauer is such a big, well-known actor overseas that you would think anything that he did would get played a lot.
Now, let's just say, especially like in German TV and Austrian TV, of course, since we don't synchronize our movies ourselves, so basically we're getting the movie with the German dub here. So it's like. Of course, that you are basically a little bit in a situation where, like, beggars can't be choosers, so you just get what you get. Otherwise, of course, it's the fun thing. Like, it was like an index in Germany, but in Austria we don't have a movie index. So probably when it came out on home video, they released it via here. It's a whole that's a whole history. It's a whole different history.
Now I gotta ask. What is the German title for this film?
It's basically very simple. It's surviving the game, and then just a tagline: "Tötet ihn," like kill him.
Did they like IC or not?
I don't know. Like it's basically like surviving the game. We have to add a call to action.
I know we talked last week about the German title of Trespass, but how it's different from your point of view to ours because we just see it as die game. But now Ice-T and surviving the game, kill him.
Kill him. He's still moving.
Oh man, I had to ask though. But you know, I'm looking forward to the next Rutger Hauer film we're gonna talk. You know,
since, that one, especially since it's also such a true Paul Verhoeven movie.
Yes, Paul Verhoeven is such a good director too. Man.
Yeah.
And when you got a cast like that, you know, it's gonna be an entertaining film. It's been a long time since I watched it, But after just mentioning Blind Fury, I was like, man, I want to watch that too.
Yeah, I love Blind Fury, and especially since we also know that Rutger Hauer knows the viewpoint of a homeless person in hobo with a shotgun.
Yeah, that's probably why he took this role, because he like, I was a homeless man. Now I get to hunt him.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's gonna be great talking the next couple movies. I'm looking forward to it.
Do you have any comic book crew stuff this weekend?
The Comic Call crew will be. Yeah, they will be live tomorrow. They talking about Deadpool, Wolverine, and the impact that it has on the MCU.
I haven't watched it yet.
It's enjoyable. I enjoyed the film when I went to the theaters to watch it, but like I said, I'm not sure that I would give it such high praise like most people give it, because like I enjoyed the film, but I'm just like, I don't know, maybe it's because of how I feel with comic book movies now. It's like,
is Wesley Snipes in it?
You asked that question. You want that spoiler?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I saw the pictures, then it's like,
I'll admit, I yelled when I saw it. I was like, yeah. And to the point where, like, give us Old Man Blade.
Also this October we gotta talk all Blade movies.
Yes, we gotta talk all. Yes, I'm glad you brought that up.
Still, Blade 1 and 2 still the best 2 Marvel movies ever made.
Yeah, and I dislike 3, but I'll watch it again just to talk.
Yeah.
CGI eyes and all.
I mean, with at least with Triple H.
And if we're gonna talk the Blade movies, at least you'll have to watch Wolverine, Deadpool, just so we could talk his scene in that. Because
I was thinking about if I maybe should go tomorrow to the cinema if I'm not lazy enough.
Like I said, I enjoyed the film. I would recommend it, but I'm not gonna sit here and say go to the theaters, especially somebody like you who I know you're very critical and stuff. So I would say if you wait to see it when it's on streaming or Blu-ray.
Honestly, this Disney, I don't have Disney Plus, so probably they won't have it in any other streaming service. So maybe I'm gonna see it the weekend because I think they should still play it in English here. So. And so far, I just didn't go because I was like, I'm so fucking lazy.
But yeah, I will say check it out, and Wesley was awesome, like I said.
Yeah.
Give me that Old Man Blade movie, and I'll be a happy man because he still got it.
It's Wesley Snipes, and Blade don't pay no taxes.
No, he don't. No, he don't. But yeah, I definitely would recommend it. And also, I would definitely recommend,
Your light window is somebody hunting you.
Huh?
I mean, your light window, it was just went dark and your.
Oh, that's because I switched the screen. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because it's like you hunted.
Yeah, I switched the screen, but I will send you the link to that video that we watched before the stream.
Yes, please,
so you can check that out because it was a really good watch, man.
I got something very nice, which I finally found on eBay. The soundtrack tape of Conan from '82.
Nice. Man, I love that soundtrack.
Yeah, and now I finally have it in CD, tape, and vinyl.
All 3 formats.
Like the original ones. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that soundtrack.
I
thought of asking, but I forgot. During the week when it was the anniversary of Conan the Destroyer, to send that, because I think that was our first show, right?
Yeah, it was our first show. Yeah.
Yeah, it was our very first show.
Yeah.
That's what started it all.
And next year's anniversary again.
Yeah. But yeah, it's been a blast. Great talking this film. I'm glad you enjoyed your first time watching it.
Yes.
And it's always great. It's always great when we have first watches on your part, on my part.
Because it's still so fresh, and And luckily, I was able to find this movie like Amazon had it to buy it digitally because I think all the Blu-rays were sold out.
The Blu-rays, it came out what, last year or the year before, and now the fucking Blu-rays are expensive.
Yeah, so I'm like, I'm getting the digital version.
It's crazy, man.
Yeah.
And it's funny how these Blu-rays sneak up on you. They come out with no real build up, no notice or nothing. Then they just sell out quick because people really want it.
Yeah, and the market is so low now, of course, with analog media. So especially like here, most of the movies are like special releases, like in media book format, how they release it here, so they can get more money, and they release it just limited to like 1,000 or something with all the different variant covers they have. Yes, we have all the variant covers here with movies.
But so, it just looks like they moved trying to push us towards streaming more to the point that the physical releases are getting limited and limited.
I mean, I think that studios actually would love to sell like analog media because I think they're getting more money from it.
Yeah.
I think they already realized that streaming is not that profitable for them if they do their own streaming service. So that's why Sony basically like won the streaming wars by not doing an own one and just like selling the movies to everybody. So like I think they were the only ones who really profited well from it. But the market is just not there. Like I understand the mainstream audience. You have like limited space. I mean, I collect comics and movies and music, so I know how tough it is to find fucking space. Yeah. So for the mainstream audience, they also don't think about, is this movie cut? Have they altered the scene, etc.? They're just watching the movie, and they just. So I totally get it for them. Like for them, streaming is a fantastic deal. But of course, when you love movies, and you still get the best quality. When you have like a disc in, and you're not like a slave to your internet connection, or when you said, hey. Like I do it, there's a movie I really love, like Conan the Barbarian. I want to see it in VHS quality. Another day, I want to see it in 4K. And with the digital releases, you're just getting always the newest one, the remastered version, and you can't go back like to an older mastering or like to the original version. So. Yeah. But of course, on the other hand, also, I'm not here pretending, this is my collection that is going to be around forever. Disc rot is a thing, and discs don't hold forever. So basically, probably when I'm old, all these things have rotted away.
Yeah, that's tough, man. But, I'm still a physical collector.
Yes.
And I still like to own, the movie.
Yes.
That way, if they have it on the streaming service and they just take it off, and I'm like Trespass. Last week, I was looking for Trespass on certain things, and it wasn't there. Luckily, I was able to watch it. And plus I have the Blu-ray of it, but I wanted to watch it quick, while I was at work, and it wasn't there. So I was like, fuck.
And of course, all the bonus material, and I'm a big fan of audio commentaries. And especially like with the movies that I and you watch, that there are many labels like Arrow that give those releases like a little bit extra, like this little bit prestige where you're really getting your money's worth. You're getting like new interviews with it. You're getting new audio commentaries, or you're getting like new bonus material, making offs, etc. So this I value very much, especially for movies that are really close to my heart.
Yeah, I just sent you that Dickinson video.
Thank you.
But I'm looking forward to Flesh and Blood next week, and that will be it. Thanks again, VV, for always joining me on this, man. It's Fridays.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
I'm living for the Fridays.
Yeah, that's it. It's like get through the week just for Friday so we can talk these films.
Exactly.
So thanks for the few people that showed up. Kenneth Bird, shout out to you. And we will see you next week. So until then, y'all have a great weekend and make sure y'all check out the Common Call crew. We'll be live tomorrow.
Do it.
Later.